What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be going over paused deadlifts. All right, one of my favorite deadlift variations, and in this video we're going to touch on when to use them, why they matter, and how to perform them. Stay tuned. So there's a few instances where you would use a paused deadlift. Like I mentioned, I'm using it today as my accessory day, but my main deadlift day is on Friday. So I figured we'll use today as a day to get familiar with the position. The pauses are just a good variation to keep in where you're still focusing on the normal pattern of your deadlift, the concentric, but also a variation to make it a little more challenging and be a little bit more mindful as you perform the movement. So the first one is as a secondary day all on its own. The second instance would be as an accessory to your main deadlift on your specific deadlift day. The third instance that you would use a paused deadlift is if you're far enough away from a competition where you're not worried about being so specific with your conventional or your sumo. I compete in strongman, so that's why most of the things I do, and not most, all the things I do are conventional deadlift. If you're far enough away from a powerlifting competition or a strongman competition and you just want a challenging variation, then that's another time that you would do the pause deadlift. So we have secondary deadlift day, accessory to your main deadlift on one day, or if you're far enough out from a competition, say like an off season or something like that, you could do pause deadlifts as your main work. So now that we know when to program or prescribe a pause deadlift, we're going to go into why they matter, why I specifically really enjoy this movement, and maybe just give a few tidbits that somebody else hadn't really thought about. So the first thing being, they reinforce your position, right? So if a lot of times people fail deadlifts at lockout, they think it's because their lockout strength is weak. But if you've heard time and time again, it's not about how you finish necessarily, it's about how you start. So if you're starting your deadlift and you're out of position, as soon as you get to a difficult part in that lift, you're going to struggle to lock it out, right? So for example, if I'm a more of a dynamic deadlifter, rip it off the ground. I'm not so concerned about having a perfect posture starting. I'm okay with a little bit of backgrounding. That's how I've been deadlifting since I started deadlifting, so it's okay for me. My body can tolerate that. But it's come back to bite me in powerlifting meets because I get so much speed off the floor and I'm in a suboptimal position that when I get right below the knees, my hips are pretty extended. I don't have anything else to push. I got no strength to keep pulling, so I'm failing at lockout. Doesn't matter how fast it looks off the floor, but if you can't finish it. So I throw these pauses in because if you are starting in a bad position and somebody's telling you to stop, you're going to feel tension in the lower back. You're going to feel kind of on your toes. So that brief pause allows you to self-correct, because if you're pausing and you're, like I said, suboptimally positioned, then you're going to be rocking forward. You're going to be like, man, my low back is on fire. But it allows you to kind of shift that weight back in your heels and just make sure everything is properly aligned to, once you re-engage with the pull, everything is linear and locks out how it should. So the first thing, it reinforces your position. Like I mentioned, if you're out of position, you'll feel that more in your lower back, not your lower body. If you're doing these correctly, you should feel your hamstrings, your glutes, even your quads, because like I said, you're pushing that weight off the floor, kind of start to tremble a little bit. The second reason, as I just mentioned, they teach you how to initiate the deadlift by pushing with the legs and drive the floor away instead of pulling, right? So a lot of times we talk about the deadlift as a pull, how much you're pulling, what you're pulling today. But in reality, the deadlift, when properly executed, should be more of a push, all right? If I'm pulling, I'm gonna be pulling myself out of position. I'm gonna be using more low back and of course, just increase the risk of injury. But if I start to think about pushing, easing that weight off the floor with the pause, then I'm pushing like a leg press, push the earth away. I'm gonna come to mid shin, or right when I know all the plates are off the ground, I'm gonna pause, right? And then I'm going to re-engage with the lift again by thinking a second push, still driving that weight up, still driving my knees to extension so that my hips can also help facilitate the movement, pushing everything forward. So, and the third reason as to why I find they are so heavily important is it's just more time under tension, right? So a lot of times when we're thinking about hypertrophy, or even if we're thinking about it or not, we want to put the muscles under as much tension as possible, depending on, of course, what we're doing. But instead of having to go do a set of 3x10 on deadlifts, one, You're not gonna be able to use a weight that's heavy because that's 30 reps of deadlifts. You're gonna be gassed. The more reps you do, the more fatigued you get, the greater the chance of injury, right? So if I'm doing 3 sets of 4 reps and I'm pausing every rep, if I'm pausing appropriately for like a 2 count, then I'm doing 4 reps with a 2-second pause and a higher weight than I would normally do if I'm doing like 3 sets of 10, right? So I can go bang out 30 reps at 315, fantastic. But if I can also do a 3x4 pausing with 500 pounds, you know what I'm saying? Which one's gonna have more carryover to not only my overall strength, positioning, but also just muscle hypertrophy or muscle development, right? Last but not least, we're gonna go over how to perform the movement. So you're gonna set up like you normally would with your deadlift. For me, that is a stance just in line with my hips. I'm tall, I'm lanky, I like a more narrow stance on my deadlifts. So I'm set up normally, all right? I'm reaching down. Like I said, I compete in strongman, so I got my straps on, getting locked in. Now I wanna think about creating tension in my feet. I'm pushing, right now, I'm pushing my feet through the floor, pulling my shoulder blades toward the ceiling. So I'm here, dropping the hips, bringing the shins to the bar, head slightly up. All right, now, like I mentioned, I'm pushing the weight off the floor, pausing mid-shin for 2 seconds. 1, 2, push, boom. Come right back down. Same thing, easing the weight off the floor. Tension in the glutes, push, boom. All right, we'll do one more. So like I said, after that pause, we're re-engaging with the bar, pushing the earth away, driving the crown of my head to the ceiling, thinking about showing that logo off to the imaginary crowd in front of you. All right, guys, so to recap everything, pause deadlifts are great for reinforcing your position. I forgot what my points were. Pause deadlifts are great for reinforcing your starting position on the conventional deadlift and sumo. Great for teaching you how to slow down a little bit, engage by pushing the weight off the floor instead of pulling, and more time under tension if you are also after a little bit of muscle hypertrophy or muscle building, right? You can use these as an accessory on your normal deadlift day if you're deadlifting once a week. If you're deadlifting twice a week, you can have it on its own day. Or if you're far enough out from a competition or you have a long off season, you can program these as your main deadlift variation. Be sure to take your normal deadlift stance with. If you use straps, that's okay. But the key takeaways are make sure you ease the weight off the floor, pause about mid-shin, so those plates should just be hovering off the ground, and pause for 2 seconds. Be honest, a legit 2 seconds. Anybody can start the lift, slow down a little bit, then keep going. That's not a true pause. I want you to sit there, have a moment to think about, what did I eat for breakfast today? Boom, re-engage with the lift, drive the floor away, head to the ceiling, logo at the chest, to the crowd in front of you, and then you have successfully completed a pause deadlift. So appreciate you guys for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, share if you found this video helpful. And yeah, let me know what else you want to see, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.